Broadcasting live from an undisclosed location. This is the TCMMA podcast with your host, Chris Cross.
Whoa!
Dana White privilege.
Let's go, baby! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go, baby!
Dana White privilege. Privilege. Privilege.
What up, what up? This your boy Chris Cross checking in. This is the TCMMA podcast. So everything is calm right now in the MMA world. Everything is calm. UFC 304 is in the past, right? Getting ready for UFC Abu Dhabi, and then a couple fight nights at the Apex, followed by UFC 305 in what, Australia? Perth? Yeah. So we got all that coming before us, but right now everything is chill. You just got a lot of guys talking a lot of crap about other fighters in their divisions, things of that nature. But the big news today, and we'll kind of go through it and then come back and talk about each one individually, but the judge denied the UFC Antitrust Lawsuit settlement, resets trial date for October. So if you didn't know about this, $335 million agreement between the UFC and former fighters, I believe, okay, don't quote me on this, roughly 2010 to 2017. They got a class action. They reached a settlement. The judge said, no, we're not going to do that.
Oh!
So that's kind of crazy, right? The judge just nixed it, and ahead we go. Fed up judge KOs Conor McGregor. That's the headline. Slaps UFC star with 2-year ban for appalling episode of dangerous driving. Seriously, dangerous driving?
Whoa!
Why is McGregor? I thought he was on the boat. I thought he was on the boat all the time.
Oh no!
Like McGregor, I thought he was on the yacht. So are we talking about driving in like the boat in the water, or are we talking about real driving? But yeah, the judge put a 2-year ban on that ability. That's crazy. Think about that. The dude's rich and he can't drive. But luckily he's got money and someone can chauffeur him around, which is probably the way it should be. Also, how much are tickets for UFC 306, O'Malley, Dvalishvili at the Las Vegas Sphere? You're not going to believe this. Tickets are insane for that event. Also, Tony Ferguson admits he has sparred 120 rounds or more for the first time in 7 years ahead of UFC Abu Dhabi fight. And doesn't it seem like this is always happening? Like Tony Ferguson going into a fight is saying it's going to be different, more in so many words, right? And he suffered 7 straight losses. So, rough going for Tony Ferguson, a guy I really like, but it struggles. Just getting old. He's 40. I would love to whoop Canelo, said Sean O'Malley as he takes aim at boxing legend as the pair's events go head-to-head in Las Vegas on Mexican Independence Day. I mean, it's just wild. So you got 306 at the Sphere. You got a big boxing fight going down across the street, and they're going toe-to-toe at the same time. So everyone's going to be in Vegas that night. I mean, everybody. Khabib returns to UFC Abu Dhabi, corners Umar Nurmagomedov for Corey Sandhagen fight. And I'm here to tell you, whenever Khabib's in the corner helping, as we saw with Bilal Muhammad, can't go against him. Also, Conor McGregor, and when we double back, we'll hit both of these. But Conor McGregor backs the UFC's decision to let Muhammad Mokaev, go as he continues to plead for a new contract. Also, Leon Edwards' coach slams U.S. timing for UFC 304 title fight. It's a joke, he said. Talking about him fighting at like 6 in the morning or something like that, right? Because they were in England and the times were all jacked up. So that's what you got going on. But again, the big story of the day is that the UFC's antitrust lawsuit settlement agreement has been nixed by the judge. And the judge set a trial date for October. $335 million, big money for the fighters. They're not going to get that, at least as of right now. And that could be good or bad. That could be good or bad. Saying, we obviously disagree with this ruling. This is the UFC. and believe it disregards the expertise of counsel from both sides, as well as an accomplished and expert mediators, all of whom have decades of experience in antitrust case law, UFC officials said in a recent statement. It prevents athletes from receiving what they have argued is in their best interest and unwinds an extensively negotiated settlement that, in the place of plaintiff's counsel's own words, would far surpass a typical antitrust class action settlement. So why did they do this? Why did the judge do this? I mean, he must have saw something there. Obviously, he disagreed with. Is there a hidden ulterior motive? Who knows? But really what this comes down to is, from the stance of the fighters, they might get a lot more. They're saying it could be up to $3 billion. That's like nearly 10 times as much the fighters could get if it goes all the way through, and then it goes through all the appeals process. So how long is that going to take, right? On the other end, the fighters could get nothing. So this could end up being very, very good for the fighters, or very, very bad for the fighters, and we won't know that for some time. And even if they do go to trial in October and there's no delays before then, when we do get a ruling, then it's going to be appealed, probably by one side or the other. So, this thing is going to go for a while. That's why it would have been better just to take this agreement. Both sides sat down. That's what they agreed upon, and finish it up like that. But no, instead the court punts the football, and they'll revisit this. So we don't have an answer on this right now. And of course, you got, this is a side thing, but you got the UFC looking forward to their rights deal coming up, saying there could be on potential multiple platforms. The price is going to go up even if ESPN gets to keep it. I mean, so you have all these things at play. The UFC is just skyrocketed in value. And I don't know how much that weighs on this decision, or if at all, but it just seems like all this stuff is happening at the same time. And the UFC may have felt comfortable, like, okay, we got an agreement here. And, I don't think it slows them down one way or the other in terms of what they're thinking and doing day to day, right? But when you think you got an agreement settled and you can start to move forward, it's like a little bit of a weight off your back. Even as big as the UFC is, it's a weight off their back, and you can start focusing on the future, but now they get pulled into the past once again. Conor McGregor had to go to court, and the judge gave him a 2-year ban for appalling episode of dangerous driving. This is an appalling series of breaches of the road traffic rules and an appalling episode of dangerous driving, said Judge David McHugh at Blanchardstown District Court. It is appropriate to meet this matter by way of a suspended sentence, and only just. Suspended sentence meaning he could do time if he doesn't meet all the demands of probation or whatever it is that he's got to go through. So if he has another ticket or something else happens in the future, right, they could pull him back into this case. But as long as he does what he's supposed to do and does the right thing for the next 2 years, especially not getting any speeding tickets or getting behind the wheel of a car or anything like that, he should be good to go. So how much are tickets for UFC 306 at the Sphere? What, a couple hundred? No, Chris Cross. Way more than that. $3,000 all the way up to roughly $17,000. These are just estimates. This could go both ways, right? But you need $3,000 to get in the house. You need $3,000 to get into the party. And I don't care what they got going across the street. And this is boxing's best punch. This is still the UFC. This is Sean O'Malley. This is a guy that O'Malley and Dvalishvili have had beef, right? Remember, he stole his red jacket. Not stole, but took it and ran around the octagon. And then O'Malley, got it back and everything. But you had all that going on. And Dvalishvili close with Sterling, and this is just like another fighter he's got to take on. But Dvalishvili, there's a big question mark here. It's not like other guys we know, okay, he's probably going to beat this guy or that guy. And he's took down Aljamain Sterling for the belt. He's defended the belt. All the Dvalishvili is a guy that's been coming up and just on hold because of his training partner, Aljamain Sterling. Well, now it's wide open. And I think there's going to be a lot of people that want to see this. So I don't care what they got going across the street. The UFC's still going to win at the end of the day, in my opinion. Tony Ferguson admits he has sparred 120 rounds. Yeah. For the first time in 7 years. He also needs to win to avoid the longest losing skid in Octagon history. So that's crazy. You know, poor Tony Ferguson, man. But all these words mean nothing at this point. You got a lot of skeptics who believe you're done, including the president of the company, Dana White, says he hopes, you know, in so many words, not to quote exactly, so I'm paraphrasing, but I hope he retires after this fight. Okay? I hope he retires after this fight. Now, in an add-on to UFC 306 at the Sphere, Sean O'Malley is saying, I would whoop Canelo. In what? MMA, of course. Unless you get caught. In boxing, I'm not so sure, man. Come on. As he takes aim at boxing legend, his pairs events go head-to-head, as you've heard before. So, you know, should have hit that a second ago, but still, we got to get to it, man. I mean, you're not beating Canelo in boxing, O'Malley, okay? But you will beat him head-to-head, UFC versus boxing in this one, you know. Canelo's a huge name, probably the biggest name in the sport right now. But that's all boxing has, like once every, 2 times a year. If you're not counting Jake Paul, right? 2 big fights a year. Jake Paul, so now you get 4. But that's it, man. The UFC's every week. And I don't think people are just going to skip on one to watch the other. They might have both tuned up. I'll probably have both tuned up. But, UFC's going to have more eyeballs. Khabib is set to return, not to the octagon, but as a coach at UFC Abu Dhabi this Saturday as he corners Umar Nurmagomedov. I read this earlier today. I'm like, cool, because we already got Umar predicted to win this Saturday night. And I'll be honest, when I heard last week that Bilal was training, I knew this, but I forgot about it, that Bilal was training with Khabib. And then as that fight played out, I'm like, you could see Khabib all over the playbook in Bilal's win against Leon Edwards. Amazing. But yeah, looking forward to seeing Khabib in Abu Dhabi this Saturday with Umar, who I think wins this fight against Corey Sandhagen, a very, very capable, very, very good, high contender. Corey Sandhagen, he's going to beat him. Also, you got Leon Edwards' coach saying the U.S. timing for UFC 304 title fight, it's a joke. So, and I don't like all this after the fact, but, we should say that Leon is to make the case for Leon, he is the champ at the time. And you're fighting at home to defend your belt, and you got to fight at 6 in the morning. Now, I don't know about you, but 6 in the morning is like the last time of day that I want to get into a fight. But at the same time, 6 in the morning is when I do get up to go to work. Right? There's a lot of us out there. We all go to work at some time, and it probably feels like 6 in the morning at the time we do go to work, even if you're working a night shift or something. But I legitimately get up for work at like 5 or 6 in the morning, and I'm working. So I hear you, but I don't hear you. You understand what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you got to fight when you got to fight, and you sign a contract, and then you make it happen. And that's all there is to it. You can't come back after the fight. If you lose in a fight, when you see the news of a guy who lost and he starts slamming everything about the fight after the fact, I don't like that, man. On any level. Unless it was like a split decision loss or, something like that. But at the end of the day, you lose. Now you got to get back to that point. And I think Leon and his team is probably upset because they know, like, we're probably going to have to win 3 fights to fight for the title again. I mean, how many did he have to win before he got a title fight? It was ridiculous. And then he gets in there and he wins the title. So, should he get a rematch? No. Absolutely not. But should he be able to fight a top contender and get a rematch? Sure. And that's going to be, they're claiming all these names like MVP. MVP lost. So you either got to fight Ian, if you're Leon, you're still like the next best guy in the division. One who everybody was just trying to get up to last week to fight for the title. Now you're not that guy, but you're that guy before the guy. So if you're Ian Gary, you want to fight Leon. If you're Shavkat, you want to fight Leon. So I think he's going to get one of those two fights, but who knows? Who knows what the UFC will be thinking? But the fact is Leon deserves another big time fight next. Okay, let's see. He's talking all this stuff now. Okay, let's see. And I think he's going to compete well. Will he win either of those fights? I don't know. Leon Edwards is still a really good fighter. Has he just fallen off the shelf? I don't think so. Did the 6 a.m. fight make a difference? I mean, they both had to fight at 6 a.m. So I don't know. I don't know. But I'm not convinced Leon Edwards is like done. I'm not convinced that Leon Edwards couldn't fight Bilal again and win. So we're just going to have to wait and see how all this plays out. But Leon's going to probably have to win 2 or 3 to get back to that spot. He's going to have to prove it and make it undeniable. And, he's still a top-ranked contender in the division. He's already beaten Colby, so he's probably not going to want to fight him. So he's going to have to fend off someone below him. Colby doesn't want to fight Ian Gary, so maybe that's the matchup. Colby says he does. And others say he never says no to a fight, but for some reason the fights don't end up happening. So the perception is everything for Colby Covington. Right? So Leon doesn't need to fight him. He's fighting Ian Gary or Shavkat. That's just the way that it needs to be. But listen, that's the news today. Not a whole lot, not a whole little, but we still got into it, and we're getting ready for Abu Dhabi, on Saturday night. So until then, this is your boy Chris Cross. Hope y'all have a great day, and God bless. As always, peace.